Good morning, dear students of grade 12. Welcome with this exam session for today. We hope you get benefit from what we are going to present to you. At the beginning, allow me to introduce my colleagues in the studio. Ms. Ula Al-Moui, English Language Supervisor, Tartus Directorate. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Sana Ismail, English Language Teacher, Damascus Directorate. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Maha Al-Jerkas, English Language Teacher, Damascus Directorate. Good morning. And this is me, Abdul Majid Ogorli, Senior Supervisor and Coordinator of the English Curriculum. I want to thank at the beginning Ms. Hiba Eid, the Director of the platform. She's going to be with us. We hope you have been doing well until now and that you are going to continue safe and sound. We want to start, Ms. Hiba, with the first slide. Ms. Ula, the floor is yours, please.
To start with the tenses, and especially present perfect, simple and continuous. The first point is when to use perfect. We use the perfect to link actions or events which started in the past with the present perfect. This is the present perfect.
Yeah.
We use it to talk about something that started in the past till the present. So to link the past with the present. Examples, they have broken the law, they should be punished. Now we should punish them for breaking the law in the past.
So one of the uses of the present perfect simple is something happened and finished. We are going to explain the difference between it and the simple past. Another one is something started in the past, continued without stop till the present. In this case, we use since and for.
Okay.
Yeah, continue.
He's been studying law for 3 years, so he started studying 3 years ago, and he is still studying now. We use since and for to express or to refer a period of time. Like, I've lived here for 3 years, or since 2006. They've been studying at university for 5 years, or since 2004. We use since with a specific time, and we use for with a period of time.
You read my mind. I was going to say it. Since with a point in time and for with a period of time. Thank you. Next slide, Ms. Hiba, please. Ms. Sana Ismail.
Okay, thank you. We use the present perfect simple to talk about the fact that something happened in the past. For example, I've swum in the Dead Sea. A past experience or achievement with a different result in the present.
A different result.
A different result in the present. For example, I've broken my leg, which means I can't go skiing this year. I've passed my driving test, so I can borrow his car next week.
Thank you. Ms. Hiba?
Okay, sorry to interrupt. We've got a question from Muhammad. He's asking about the compositions, if they are from the book. So far, the compositions are all from the book.
Yes.
So yes, it's from the book.
Only the issues you took during the year before you stopped because of the coronavirus crisis are included. So at the end of any lesson, we have writing part, we have composition. In this page, it is included. Ms. Maha Al-Jerkas?
Yes. We use the present perfect continuous first to talk about an activity which continues over a length of time. We have an example. I've been reading a book about the history of lawmaking. The verb is I have been reading. We have first, then we have been and reading with ing. The second use is to stress the length of time an activity has taken. She has been training to be a doctor for 6 years. The third use is to talk about an activity which may not be completed. Nawal has been writing her economics essay all morning. She probably hasn't finished writing it yet. And the fourth use is to talk about an English activity which is repeated over a period of time. The police have been interviewing people all week, and we've been playing tennis this week.
Thank you. Next slide. Ms. Ula.
Now about when to use the past perfect. We have 3 ways to use past perfect. First of all, to clarify, we have 2 actions that happened in the past to show that one of them happened before the other. So when 2 past actions happen first, the one happened first, this is past perfect. Example, Irish people immigrated because so many had died of starvation. So people died, and as a result, others immigrated. By 54, a quarter of the population of Ireland had immigrated to America. So by 1854, everyone, or the population, quarter of the population, had already immigrated.
So we need to tell the students that when they see by plus time, they
Past
need
perfect.
to use the past perfect tense.
Because it's an indication to the past, so it happened before.
Yeah.
Before, then past perfect. Second condition is to talk about situation, state, feeling, or action in the past. For example, Tariq felt nervous because he had never flown before. So he was nervous at some point in the past, and the reason he was nervous was that he had not flown before this point in time.
Yeah.
When I read the letter, I couldn't stop smiling. I'd passed all my exams. So again, feelings, state. Third one, to provide background information. When we have background information, we use the past perfect, like on January 11, Fiona, this is the name, Thornwell, arrived at the South Pole. This is a situation.
Yes.
Something happened in the past. She had completed 1,100 kilometer journey in 42 days. She had walked, so all these actions happened before that date. Now, by 10 a.m. on the last day, the clouds had disappeared and the sun had come out. So we have something that happened in the past. When we need to give background information to this thing, we use past perfect.
And again, we have by plus time, we
Exactly.
use the past perfect. Next slide, Ms. Hiba, please, Ms. Sana.
Okay, we continue giving background information about our own past event. Past perfect continuous. Past perfect continuous, like the past perfect symbol. The past perfect continuous can be used to clarify which of two actions happened first, talk about situation, state, or feelings or actions in the past, provide background information about past event. The past perfect continuous is often used in preference to the past perfect symbol to talk about the actions which were continuous. For example,
When we want to consist or focus on the continuation of the action, we
Yeah.
use the continuous, yes.
for much of her walk, Fiona had been fighting strong winds and rough ice. Actions which were repeated. Fiona had been having sleepless nights and feeling very nervous.
Poor Fiona. Ms. Hiba, please, next slide. Ms. Maha,
Yes, we have
correct
some.
the verbs.
Some exercises. Number one, in 1854, a quarter of the population of Ireland immigrated abroad. By, number two,
So-
by,
Number one, you solved it as emigrated in the simple past because it is in
Yes.
Yes.
1854.
Yes, and
Number
it's a
two is
past
by, not
age.
in,
Yes.
by 1854.
by 1854, a quarter of the population of Ireland had immigrated abroad. Here we have by, so we use the past perfect.
So
Three,
the presence of by plus time means we talk about something happened before that.
yes. Number three, Irish people immigrated because so many were dying of starvation. Number four, when they sailed past Tristan da Cunha, the volcano erupted. 5, on February
Now,
29th,
if we explain,
yes,
Irish people immigrated because so many
we're dying.
were dying of
Or had
starvation.
died.
Why not had died? Why not died? Because dying,
Actually, we
Does
can
not-
use had died because they died before.
yeah,
So-
it is okay. So had died is accepted, died is accepted, were dying
dying
is
is
accepted. This depends on the situation. If we want to focus that it is a long action and because of that something happened, we do it this way. Continue, please.
Yes, number 5, on February 29th, 1960, an earthquake hit the Moroccan city of Agadir. Number 6, Salah didn't recognize his friend Hani. He hadn't seen him for 10 years.
Thank you. He hadn't seen happened before,
Yes.
and that's why he didn't recognize his friend. These are the answers. Thank you, Ms. Hiba. Ms. Ula,
Okay, to
talking
start with
about
wish.
wishes.
How
Wish
to talk
past.
about wishes. Of course, we have to use the simple past. We can use the simple past, we can use could, or we can use
Actually,
would.
we use the simple past if the original sentence is in the present.
Exactly.
If the original sentence is in the past tense, we
Past
use
perfect.
past perfect afterwards.
So generally speaking, we have 2 points to use you wish. First of all, we have to use it in the past, take one step back in the past, and the second one to use the opposite. So if it's negative, we use
Because
positive,
wish is opposite to
opposite
reality.
So past and opposite, negative, positive, positive, negative.
Exactly.
We use simple past to talk about regrets in the present and impossible conditions, like, I wish I had my glasses with them. I don't have them.
With me.
With me, sorry. I don't have them. I don't have my glasses with me. I wish I were 10
So
years
the original
younger.
sentence is, I don't have my glasses with me.
I wish I had my glasses.
I had. The verb is have. The past of it is had. So that's why we said, I wish I had my glasses with me.
Exactly. I wish I were 10 years younger. I'm not. This is impossible to be 10 years younger because I'm not.
Now,
We-
we said, I wish I were 10 years younger. If a student wrote, I wish I was.
It's okay.
Good.
They have the full mark. If the whole sentence, of course, is correct.
Yeah.
We use could to express regret about inability to change situation we don't like. So we don't like something, we use could to express it. I wish I could go to your party, but I can't. I can't change that. I wish I could read more quickly, but I'm a slow reader.
Yeah.
So
in the exam, the student is going to see the original sentence. I can't
we're going to give them examples
go
now.
to your party. I wish. The student is going to continue writing. I wish I could. Can becomes could. So in the exam, the student may receive the question in the present, can't. What he is needed to do is to
Past.
put it in the past.
In the past and the opposite. If it's negative, again, positive, positive, negative.
Yes.
We can use would to criticize or to express criticism or annoyance about a certain behavior. Like, I wish you wouldn't do that. You do something that is annoying and I'm wishing you do the opposite. I wish you wouldn't do that. The speaker is telling someone to stop doing something. I wish I would get up earlier. The speaker is unhappy about his own behavior.
Criticism.
I have something to say here to the students. If you are confused about when to use could or would,
It's okay.
simply just use the past verb form. The past of the verb in the sentence, you don't need to get confused with is it could or would. Just use the simple past or the past perfect according to the original sentence, and it is
They will
okay.
get the whole mark if they achieve these 2 points. Past, opposite.
Opposite, yes.
There's
Miss-
there's a
yes.
question from Ball Case. How are you fast? You must wait for an hour to take a rest. He wanted us to wait until they take rest, then because they have an exam today.
They can
Yes.
replay the
Yes,
whole
yes,
video.
yes. Thank you so much for saying this, but the timetable was not put by us. This is first, but you can re-watch it on YouTube or in the site of the center, National Center for Curricular Development, when you want, when you have free time, and we are going to spread it, share it on the network. So don't worry, if you want to have a rest now or you want to sleep, it's okay, you can watch us later.
Okay.
Ms. Sanaster?
Thank you. Here we have some questions about using I wish. The first one, I'm really tired, but I can't sleep at night. The answer is, I wish I could sleep at night. Number 2, the weather is too hot at the moment. Here we can either negate the sentence or change the adjective. I wish it weren't so hot at the moment, or I wish it were cooler at the moment. Number 3, people drive too fast in the city center. I wish people didn't drive so fast in the center. Number 4, the streets are very dirty. I wish the street weren't so dirty, or I wish the streets were cleaner. Number 5, I'm not good at math. I wish I were better at math.
I was better at maths. Thank you, Ms. Hiba. Next slide, please, Ms. Mahai.
Yes,
It's
we're
yours.
going to talk about explanations and results. We use the following words and phrases to introduce explanations. The first one is in order to, and it's followed with an infinitive verb. Some people move to greener areas in order to survive. Survive is the infinitive. The next one is because, and it's followed with a clause. And as we all know, the clause must contain...
We mean by a clause,
Yes.
the words should be included with
Subject.
a subject and a verb.
Yes. Example, we need to produce more food because there are more people to feed. Because there are more people to feed, we need to produce more food. We can change it the way we
position.
want.
Situation.
Number 3 is to, and it's also followed with an infinitive. Trees are cut down to make more agricultural land.
Actually, to and in order to have the same function.
Yes.
So no problem if the student put this or that. Next slide, Miss Hiba. Miss
Now
Ula.
we'll continue with explanation and results. So that the soil is destroyed. These are examples to show the meaning of
It is followed again with a clause.
is followed again with the clause, yes. The soil is destroyed so that the land cannot be used for growing crops. Here I need to give them advice to pay attention to these kind of sentences because they can complete such kind of sentences because it's followed by a clause.
So in the exam, either they may receive it as two choices to choose,
Or to
it may
complete.
be in the completion exercise, a question, and they may be asked to complete a sentence with so that. They need to write a subject,
Subject,
and
a verb. The soil is destroyed so that, and they have to continue the sentence. To be, the cause of is something the cause of. The activities of human beings are often the real cause of desertification. With the result that, again, is followed by a clause, farmers tend to overcultivate their land with the result that the soil becomes unproductive. To, lead to. Wildfires can lead to greater pressure on the Earth's most precious resource, water.
the result may be this. Can lead to means the result can be this. Next slide, Ms. Hiba. Ms. Sana.
Explaining possibilities. We use modal verbs must, can't, and might to explain possible truths. We use must plus infinitive or must have plus past participle to talk about things which we are almost sure are true.
Actually, must in the present, must have plus past participle in the past.
In the past, yeah. For example, he must earn quite a lot of money to be able to afford that car. They must have come from somewhere hot like Africa. Number 2, we use can't plus infinitive or can't have plus past participle to talk about things which we are almost sure are not true. For example, it can't be easy designing and building bridges. They are complicated structures. They can't have finished their lunch already. They only started eating 5 minutes ago. Number 3, we use might plus infinitive or might have plus past participle when we are unsure whether something is true or not. For example, she might be French. She has a strange accent. He's not usually this late. He might have got stuck in a heavy traffic.
Thank you. Let me summarize here for the students. Can't or can't be when we are sure something is true. Must and must be when we are sure something is true. Can't or can't be when we are sure something is not true.
So must indicate certainty and can't indicate the lack of certainty.
Yes. Might when we are not sure. Maybe yes, maybe no. This is the difference. Next slide, Ms. Hiba, please. Ms. Maha.
Yes, comparing and contrasting. Comparing, it's previously known for the students. We have farming is less profitable than it used to be. Here we have less and profitable to compare, and the city is much busier than the countryside. Busier is the adjective, and we added ER here to compare. Between
So we sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
We use ER with the adjective.
Yes.
We add ER to the adjective if it is one syllable.
Yes.
If it is more than two syllables, not ending in Y, we use more or less,
Yes.
and we use than when we are comparing.
Yes. When we contrast, there are several words and expressions we can use. The first one is whereas, which joins two clauses. Whereas, it joins two clauses. I prefer living in the town, whereas my brother prefers the country.
We can replace it for but.
Yes.
The same meaning.
Yes. Whereas some people enjoy the outdoor life, others spend all their time indoors. We can use it in the beginning or in the middle of the sentence, it doesn't matter. Number two, or the second one, is but, which also joins two clauses. My brother prefers living in the country, but I prefer the town. 3, on the other hand, and it can't be used to join clauses, traveling by car is very cheap. On the other hand, flying is much quicker. 4, instead of flying, let's go by car. Could I have tea instead of coffee, please? And the last one is in comparison with flying, driving is quiet, slow, and dangerous.
Thank you. Miss Hiba. Can we move to the next slide?
No,
Sauda?
to talk about processes, we use the passive because the subject is not important. So we use the passive when the subject is not important or is unknown. So we use the passive verb to describe processes. How do we use it? The form.
Or when the focus is on
the
object, not on the doer of the action.
The form. To form the passive, we use the verb to be in whatever tense we need. So we look at the tense of the sentence and form the verb in this tense.
Yes.
So if, for example, present simple, verb to be is, am, are. Let's say past simple was, were, and etc. Then we add past participle. So the form of the passive voice is verb to be and past participle. The verb to be in the form of the tense of the sentence. Examples. You need to add something?
No.
Okay. Pandas are protected by their thick, warm coats. Are protected. Are protected. This is present simple. And here, because we need to mention the subject, we use by. If pandas are being threatened by enemies, they climb up the nearest tree. Now, if the agent is mentioned, it's preceded by.
Yes,
by.
I wish we have written in the exam, students are going to receive for pandas, for example, sentence. The thick, warm coats protect pandas.
We've got examples.
When we change it, yeah, I know that we have examples. We change the original sentence, the thick, warm coats protect pandas. Pandas are protected by their or by the thick, warm coats. Yeah, continue.
Okay. So when we need the agent is mentioned, it is preceded by. So by enemies, by their thick, warm coats. If pandas are being threatened, they climb up the nearest tree.
Thank you. Next slide, Ms. Hiba. Ms. Sana.
Okay, let's move
Continue
to the use.
Passive.
Yeah. We often use passive verb to describe processes. The use. The main reason for using passive verbs is to focus attention on the object rather than the subject of the sentence. For example, until the 1960s, pandas were hunted for their skins. In this passive sentence, we consider the pandas to be more important than the hunters. Until 1960s, people hunted pandas for their skins. In this active sentence, the attention is on the people who hunted. Number 2, we may also use passive rather than active verbs to make sentence sound more formal or impersonal. Pandas were originally found in several parts of Asia. Number 3, passive sentences don't always say who did the actions, which means the agent. Yeah.
Next slide, Ms. Hiba, please. Ms. Maha.
Yes, we're still with the passive, and
Yes.
we don't need to mention the agent if we don't know who the agent is. We have an example. My car has been stolen. Who stole my car? I don't know. The thief is unknown, so I can't add the agent. When it's obvious who the agent is, anyone who is caught hunting is severely punished.
Severely
punished. Yes, judges and the law punish people who have done something wrong. And when it's not important who the agent is, panda sanctuaries have been set up in China.
So if I summarize,
Yes.
if the agent is not known, if the agent is very clear,
Yes.
or the focus is on the object and the subject is not important. Next slide, Ms. Hiba, please.
Here we've got examples. Again, remember, verb to be, past participle. The tense of the verb of the sentence is given to the verb to be. Now, camouflage protects sand gazelles.
Camouflage
Okay, camouflage
protects
sand gazelles
gazelles
from predators.
predators.
Now, the verb is protects and it's in the present simple. So the verb to be goes with is, am, or are. Because the subject, with the object, sorry, we start with the object, which is sand gazelles. We start the new sentence, the passive voice with the object. Sand gazelles are protected from predators by camouflage.
Yes.
They use speed and agility to evade the attention of predators. Use, again, present simple. Speed and agility, this is plural, so now we use are. Their speed and agility are used to evade the attention of predators.
Yes.
They opened Al Ain's International Airport in 1994. Now opened, simple past. Simple past, it means the verb to be in the simple past was or were. With Al Ain International Airport, it was. We start with the object, Al Ain International Airport was opened, past participle, and continue the sentence in 1994. They is not important.
Sorry, just to give a hint, the student may receive the question of passive voice in two ways. This way, to change into passive, or as a missing word. A missing word, he may find that was is missing,
or
and
by.
he needs to fill was, or by.
Or
yes.
by. People are hunting tree kangaroos for their meat and fur. So are hunting, this is a present continuous. So the verb to be becomes is, am, are, being, and
Yes,
past
being.
participle. We start with the tree kangaroos, which is the subject. Tree kangaroos are being hunted for their meat and fur. Again,
So in the
people
present-
is obvious.
In the present continuous and the past continuous, we use being.
Being.
After the suitable verb to be according to the object.
Exactly. Number 5, human activities have destroyed their natural habitat. So have destroyed, this is a present perfect. Again, we start with the object, their natural habitats, or humans' natural, sorry, this is about elephants
Their
maybe.
natural habitat has been destroyed.
Has been destroyed
human.
by, this is, here we change the have into has, because the new subject is singular.
Yes. Thank you.
Their natural habitat has been destroyed by human activities.
And the agent here is important by human activities.
Exactly.
We need to put it.
Number 3, for
And-
example, it's they, it's not important.
important.
And number 4, people, it's obvious.
But if the student is not sure in the exam to write it or to leave
They
it,
should write it.
Write it is better, because when you write it, you don't lose marks. In this case, if you write the agent, you don't lose marks. But if the agent is important and you don't
lost
write it, you will lose marks. So when you are not sure, write the agent preceded with by.
Bye. Yes. Thank you.
Next slide, Ms. Hiba. Ms. Sana,
Reported speech. Okay.
it's getting hot here, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ms. Hiba can help us making it cooler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reported speech is when we tell someone what other people said. To do this, we use the direct or indirect speech. When we report what people say, we use reporting verbs and make changes to the speaker's actual words. Actual words, which means direct speech.
Direct speech.
Sorry. My parents spend every day of their lives together. The reported speech is, he said that his parents spent every year of their lives together. These changes could include, first of all, the tense of the verb. My parents spend, he said his parents spent. Pronouns and possessive adjectives. I've lost my glasses, he said.
Pronouns and possessive
Adjectives. I've lost my glasses, he said he'd lost his glasses. 3. Time and place references. I'll meet you here tomorrow. She said she would meet him there the following day.
So what we changed here?
The time and place reference here becomes there.
I will meet you tomorrow.
Tomorrow becomes
I
the following day.
Because she said, we changed
The pronouns.
the pronoun according to the pronoun in the she said. She is a female person, so I becomes she. And she said is in the past. She said we use the past of the verb in the sentence. Here the verb is auxiliary will. It has become, she said, she would. And she is the contraction of would, meet him there. Tomorrow is changed to be the following day. Next slide.
We've got some exercises to explain it more.
Yes, Miss Ma.
Yes. We have the reporting questions. There are two kinds of reported questions, the WH questions and the yes-no questions.
Actually, in English, we have two types of
Yes.
questions, WH and yes-no questions. And
W-
each kind has a way to deal
Yes.
with.
In the direct speech, we have a sentence, where have you been? Or how long are you going away for? When we report these questions, they are no more questions, so we need to change
Change, yes, the
between the verb
position.
yes and the subject, or the auxiliary verb and the subject. We start with she asked, which is the reporting verb, where I, here we
have
change
a lot
you
of,
into I.
of beginnings. She asked, she wanted to know,
Yes, they
she
are mentioned
inquired. But she asked is the most common one.
Yes. Where I here was you in the original sentence, had been, and in the original sentence we have been, which is present perfect. We changed the present into past, so we changed it into had been. Now the second sentence is, she asked how long we are going away for. Notice that...
Actually, usually we don't put this in the exam this way. In the exam, we give clearly, she asked me, she asked him, she
Yes.
asked her. In this case, the student knows how to change the pronouns.
Yes.
She asked me, where I. She asked him, where he.
Yes.
She asked her, where she. So according to the pronouns in the beginning, in the introductory phrase, we change the pronouns.
Yes. We have to notice that the order of the subject and verb is not the same in reported questions, as we previously said. And in yes-no questions, we add whether or if in reported speech. The question...
I want just to
Yes.
say something before we move to the yes-no questions. What happens to do, does, or did
Yes.
in the
We
reported questions?
omit them.
They are not mentioned
they
in the
are
reported.
dropped.
Yes.
So we don't use do, does, did in the reported questions. The other auxiliaries are moved to the position after the subject, like a sentence. And do we have question mark in the end of a reported
no,
question?
of
No,
course.
because it's
And,
It's
tha-
not-
and,
no, it's
and
not
that's
a
why we
question
don't have
anymore.
the do, does, did, because they are already mentioned to make question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not a question anymore, we don't need them.
Yeah, now you can continue
Yes.
with this.
We have a question. Have you already been on holiday, or are you hungry? When we report these questions, we start with the reporting verb, which is she asked, and we have a yes-no question, so we start with whether or if, it doesn't matter, with already been on holiday. We have a question, are you hungry? He asked if I was hungry, and we change the present into past.
Yes. Next slide, Miss Hiba, please. Miss Aula.
We don't really need to talk a lot about this, but they have to put in mind that it's not only about ask, they can use ask, wonder, want to know, and inquire.
Yes.
That's all they need to know.
And the following slide, Miss Hiba.
Here we have examples.
Yes, please. Continue.
How long have you been married? Now, for example, here we've given the introduction. I asked my grandparents, so the new subject is they. I asked
So
my,
this is the way the students may receive the question in the exam. The beginning is very clear. I asked my parents.
grandparents.
So the sentence is going to be, I asked my parents how long
They.
because my parents are plural. The pronoun for plural is they. How long they have been married would go 1/10 back.
Past
and it's going
perfect.
to be past perfect. Yes.
Had been married. Do you enjoy spending time with each other? I asked them. Now the new subject is they. I ask them if, because we don't have question word in here, we use if to connect the sentences. I ask them if they, and we just continue the sentence with one step back and omitting do. We don't use do anymore and continue with one step back in the past. I ask them if they enjoyed spending time with each other.
Miss Hiba, just one thing. I received the air on my neck. It's very strong. Yes. Did you finish?
No, not yet.
Yes.
Number C.
Letter C.
We don't argue about anything they said.
Yes. We don't argue about anything.
This is
they
not
said.
a question. They just need to change the pronoun and change it to the past.
Reported speech.
Reported speech. They said they didn't argue about anything.
Yes.
We're taking our grandchildren on holiday. They said they, so we just need we into they and past. They said they were taking their grandchildren on holiday. When did you first meet? Again, this is a question, reported a question. She asked them. So she asked them, we drop the did and continue with the past form. She asked them when they had first met. Here we have past perfect because the tense of the question is simple past.
Yes.
Turns
We
to be
dropped
past
it.
perfect. She asked them when they had first met. Are you enjoying married life? This is present continuous in the question. We don't have a question word, so we use if. She asked them if they were enjoying their married life.
Their married life. Thank
So
you.
it's simple, they just need to follow the rules.
Thank you. The following slide, great Miss Hiba.
Okay, the causative verbs. Okay. We use the causative verb when we want to talk about something that someone else did for us or for another person. It means that the subject caused the action to
Either
happen.
did
Yeah.
or didn't do something. When someone received something or didn't receive something done by other people.
Exactly. Yeah. The form is have plus object plus past participle. He has had his hair cut. They have had their flat redecorated. The use, we use have something done for us to say that we arranged for something to be done instead of doing it ourselves. I had a guitar made for me by a very famous instrument maker. He's having his car repaired next week. The second use, it's more personal and gives us more background information than just using passive verb. For example, his house was built by a local builder. This is passive. The causative is he had his house built by a local builder.
Yes. Miss Maha, the
Yes.
next slide, please.
We have exercises about
Exercise about the
yes,
causative
the causative
verb.
verb. Number one.
Actually, we deal for the baccalaureate level only with verb to have. We have other verbs causative like get, like other causative verbs. But in the exam, students are restricted to use have only.
Yes. The first example, I didn't repair the car myself. Of course, I had it repaired.
Repaired.
2, my mother dyed her own dress blue. She didn't have it dyed. She did it herself. She didn't make the dress herself. Here she had it made. She had someone made it for her. He isn't going to take his own photo. He's going to have it made.
So what you're doing here is the same tense, the
Yes.
same auxiliary used, but if it is positive, we use have in the negative. If it is negative, we use have in the positive.
Yes. 5, my brother cut his own hair. He didn't have it cut. 6, my neighbor painted his own house. He or she didn't have it painted. Here we have he or she because we don't know who exactly the neighbor is. 7, my father doesn't clean his car himself. He has it cleaned. Someone else has
But
cleaned it
for he
him.
and she in the exam, if the student writes only he or only she, it's okay since
Yes.
it's not clear.
Yes. Number 8, we didn't cut down the trees in our garden ourselves. We had them cut down. We brought someone to cut them down for us.
Thank you. Next slide, Miss Hiba. Miss Ula.
Okay, we're going to have a look at the vocabulary that are required.
Vocabulary
That
in
are
the
required.
12th grade book.
Okay, to start with word families. We've given kind of examples. Many people find out about the word by reading a day or daily newspaper. Here we've got daily because newspaper is a noun, and before the noun we need an adjective. Day is a noun, so we can't use day newspaper. It has to be daily newspaper.
We use the adjective.
We use the adjective. During the storm, there were chaos or chaotic scenes in the city. Again, scenes again is a noun, so we use the adjective. Chaotic is the adjective.
Chaotic, yes.
Omar felt very guilty or guilt, even though the accident was not his fault. Here, how does he feel? We have to use the adjective.
After feel and after verb to be, we use
Adjective, so guilty. The major or majority of people never commit a crime. The is followed by a noun.
A noun, not
So
by.
majority is the noun, major is the adjective.
We could use major after
But
that
not
if we
here.
have another noun.
Okay. No rain has fallen in the region for 2 years. This has had a disastrous or disaster effect on crops because
Effect is a noun.
effect is a noun and it's preceded by an adjective, so it's a disastrous. And they have to pay attention not to be tricked by the A, use of A. A is for the effect, not for the disaster or disastrous. The A, they are preceded by A. And because there was no clean drinking water, infects or infections spread. Spread is a verb, so here we need a noun as a subject. Infections spread very quickly through the population.
Thank you. Next slide. We continue with Ms. Sana.
Okay, we continue with
Deir
word families. Deir ez-Zor is an area of great nature or natural beauty. Beauty is a noun. It's preceded by an adjective, which is natural, not
Natural.
nature. Yes, number 8. Careless driver can seriously threaten or threaten
threat.
the safety of pedestrians. Here we use threaten because we need a verb after can.
Threat is a noun.
Yeah. Number 9, in my city there is a wild variety of entertainment to choose from. Here we need to choose variety because we need a noun. Yes. Number 10, I like to live in a small peaceful village. Village is a noun. It needs an adjective, which is peaceful, not peace. Peace is a noun. Number 11, the storm damage is a lasting reminder of the power of nature. Here we need reminder because we have an adjective, which is lasting. Number 12, I'll never forget the excitement or excite I felt on my first day at school. We need to choose excitement because we need a noun,
Yes.
which is the object of the verb forgot.
Thank you. Next slide, Ms. Hiba, please. Ms. Maha.
Yes, we'll move on to prefixes.
Miss
have-
and Re.
Yes, miss and re. Miss means wrongly or badly, and re means again.
Again.
I split tea on my homework, so I had to miswrite or rewrite it. Of course, it's rewrite.
You're right.
2, I misheard or reheard you. I thought you said we'd meet at 9 o'clock. It's misheard.
Because I heard wrongly.
Yes. 3, during the storm, 3 houses were destroyed and had to be misbuilt or rebuilt. Of course, as they are destroyed, they need to be rebuilt. 2, the children, or 4, the children were very good. None of them misbehaved or rebehaved in any way. It's misbehaved.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hiba. Next slide. Color idioms. Color
before we
idioms. This
continue.
part is important.
Yes.
Yes, before
We've
we
got a
continue.
question from Omar. He's asking for some pieces of advice to know how to study.
How to study.
Yes. My advice is if you haven't learned the vocabulary words, the meaning of the vocabulary words in the book, you can now revise learning them. Try to read the texts at least 3 times. While reading the text, think about the translation question, and you can hide the functional words, I mean the
Prepositions, pronouns.
prepositions, pronouns, because they may come in the missing words question. So while reading the text, think about the translation, think about the meaning so that if you are asked a question about it, you can answer, and hide the prepositions so that when you see it in a space missing in the exam, you know what it is, and just feel relaxed. Don't study too much, or else your brain is not going to order the information you receive. If you have anything to add, it's okay.
Nothing more to add. Especially, they're going to remember, so don't get confused, don't get nervous. Things are going to be okay. You have to sleep well before the exam. You've got to relax before the exam. Don't stress yourself up.
We had a German doctor when we were at university. She always told us to go to the parks or to the cinema
Before
the
the
night
exam.
of the exam.
Yes.
But I'm sure that parents will not accept it.
Of course not. But at least they have to sleep well.
Yes.
At least, and eat well, of course.
Now yours, the floor is yours to talk about color
Thank you.
idioms.
Color idioms. We've got a few color idioms. They've got to understand their meaning so that they can put or choose between brackets. Out of the blue, red tape, to be in black and white, to see red and to give the green light, to put someone on the blacklist. We're going to have examples to show their meanings. When he accused me of being wasteful, I saw red, it means I got very angry. Of course, such kind of sentences can be used as completion, like you've mentioned before. We have to stop companies from polluting the environment. We should put them on the blacklist. Put them on the blacklist, it means to tell other people that they're doing something wrong. They've given the green line, it means they've said yes to the building of a new incinerator. The rules clearly say that we must not leave rubbish outside our homes. Look, it's in black and white, and again you have to pay attention to the order, not white and black, it's black and white, and it means this is printed. It's almost impossible to get passport quickly. There is so much red tape. Red tape, it means administration work. Routine, exactly. Work. I heard this morning out of the blue, unexpectedly, in an unexpected way, that I'd won a writing competition. Of course, this D, I had won, because it happened before.
We are going to welcome Ms. Rawa Aid. She is going to continue with us. And we want to move, she moved to the next slide.
I've mentioned the meanings. These are the meanings of the...
So it's okay to re-say them. Okay. Out of the blue means unexpectedly. Red tape, paperwork and administration. To be in black and white, to be printed, to see red, to get very angry, to give the green light, to say yes, to put someone on the blacklist, to tell the public they have done something wrong. Next slide, Ms. Rawa, please. Ms.
Okay, we have other idioms with and. The first one is pick and choose, then nearest and dearest, odds and ends, far and wide, hustle and bustle.
There are a lot of girls. You can pick and choose if you want to get them.
Okay. The first example. People come from far and wide to see the Umayyad Mosque in the center of Damascus. I love spending time with my nearest and dearest, so we often have family get-togethers. While I was on holiday, I bought lots of odds and ends.
Lots of odds and ends.
Okay, gifts as presents. There are lots of restaurants near here. You can pick and choose from about 50. Some people enjoy the hustle and bustle of shopping.
The hustle and bustle, yes.
Of shopping in street markets.
Thank you. Ms. Maha?
Yes, the three-part phrasal verbs, and they are three parts, so you can't drop any piece of it. You need to write it all. If you miss a word from it, you will lose marks. Yes. Keep up with, looking forward to, run out of, cut down on, put up with, come up against. Here the prepositions change the original meaning of the verb, so that's why they are important. A, things are moving so fast, it's impossible to keep up with the changes.
Keep up with means to go with.
Yes. B, supermarkets should cut down on packaging. It's nearly like stop. Yes.
Cut down on, reduce.
Yes. C, we've come up against serious problems in our plan to recycle rubbish.
Come up against means to face.
Yes. D, I'm looking forward to the day when 100% of our rubbish is recycled. E, scientists have just come up with a new way of reprocessing plastic. F. People living near the bus station put up with a lot of noise. G. We run out of space to use as landfill sites.
Thank you. Next slide, Ms. Rawat, please.
Here we have examples of the ways they might have it in the exam. They might have it between brackets, for example. In my city, the council is going along with or running out of space for new houses. So it's running out of because things are, there are no more spaces. To get short of. Our town is trying hard to come up against or cut down on the amount of waste it buries in the ground. Come up against something like face. It's not working in this sentence. So cut down on, it's reduce. We need to reduce the amount of waste. Students should read newspaper to make sure they keep up with or look forward to national and international news stories, because here we are talking about news and newspaper. It's keep up with. Keep up with, it means to know the latest information. Keep up with. I'm looking for a new flat. I can't. Come up with. Come up with is like invent, so it's not working here. Put up with, it means to tolerate or stand anymore.
To bear.
To bear the noise of the traffic any longer.
Thank you. Next slide, Ms. Rawa.
Okay, the meanings.
The meanings.
Of three-part phrasal verbs. The first one is keep up with, which means know the latest information about. Looking forward to means wait with pleasure for something to happen. C, cut down on, which means reduce. Put up with means accept, stand, tolerate something unpleasant. Come up with.
Unpleasant.
Yes, come up with, which means invent, discover, find. Come up against, which means meet or face. Run out of, which means finish, use, sell all of something.
Thank you. Ms. Maha?
Yes, we're still with the phrasal verbs and with make. We have examples here. Ibrahim usually arrives at work on time, so his boss didn't know what to make of it when he was an hour late one morning. At first, he thought he might make up an excuse, but decided he must be honest. Ibrahim promised he would make up for the time he had lost by being late.
Mm-hmm. The meanings?
Yes, their meanings.
Make of.
Yes. Make of, think about or understand. Make up, invent a story. Make up for, replace something lost or missing.
Thank you. Ms. Sauda?
Again, examples of the ways they may have it in the exam, to make sure they understand the meanings or the difference. The journalist said she was doing research for an article. Here, the difference between using do or make. So with research, we use do. We don't say making.
Actually, let me say something to the students. If it is something from your brain, we use make. If you make something from something else, we use make. If it is only movement or doing something, movement of the hands or movement of something, use do. So from the mind make, we have general words which are used without having it studied as a rule, like make your bed. But when it is about the mind, we have make your mind, make your choice, make decision, make suggestion. We use make. Students need to learn these things by heart so that when they meet them in the exam, they can choose them. Yeah, continue.
They don't get confused. So research, we have do research. Said she was doing research for an article. Scientists frequently do experiments to test their ideas. So experiments, do. You will have to make special effort to, if you want to pass your exams, special effort, this is from the mind, so make. Can I make a suggestion again? Can I make a suggestion? Why don't we do the shopping together? If you make a mistake, you have to do the homework. So do shopping, do homework again. I've made my decision very carefully. I've made myself a promise. I'm going to make a success of my new job. Last night's storm did a lot of damage to buildings in our area. With damage, we used it. So just have it this way so far because they don't really have time. So like research, do, experiments, do, shopping, do, etc.
Thank you. Ms. Sana.
Okay, phrasal verbs with do. Number one, I've hurt my back, which means I have to get someone to do my
And
shoes
this
up.
is an important part. Usually in the exam, they may see it.
Yeah, which means fasten or tie.
Fasten,
Fasten,
or
sorry,
tie.
or tie.
Do
Num-
up, fasten, or tie.
Number 2, the doctor told my mother she would have to learn to do without sugar. Do without means not having something and manage in spite of this. Number 3, we will have to do the room up before anyone sleeps there. Do up means to tidy
Tidy.
or
So we have two
decorate.
meanings for do up. Either to fasten or tie, or to tidy or decorate.
Okay. Number 4, not everyone in our family has a mobile, so we can't do away with our landline. Do away with means get rid of.
Just to answer a question by Muhammad, no, the meanings of these phrasal verbs are not required. You're not to be asked about the meanings, but we are telling you to be able to understand, because you need to understand the meaning to be able to do the sentence.
Yes.
If they don't understand the meaning, they...
Of course.
Here we
not
have
be able-
Miss Maha, a
Yes.
group of words that go with do, other group of words that go with make.
Yes, we say do research, do experiments, do the shopping, and do damage. Make, we make an effort, we make a suggestion, we make a mistake, we make a decision, we make a promise, or we make a success.
Yes, thank you.
For, these are the ones in the book. There are
Yes.
plenty
Yes.
of others, but not in the book.
Miss Ala,
Okay, now how to make questions. It's not in the book, but it's required in the
Yeah,
exam,
it's
so
important.
we're going to say something about it. We have two main kinds of questions, yes/no questions and WH questions. The yes/no questions, we need to, the answer is yes or no. Like, was the restaurant bill high? No, it wasn't. Have you ever learned to play a musical instrument? Yes, I have. Did you enjoy your holiday? Yes, it was very relaxing. So the answer is yes or no. So we start with the auxiliary verb.
so we need to tell the students that in the exam, what we are doing now, we explain how to change to yes/no question first. Then we are going to show you how it's going to be WH question. In the exam, yes/no questions are not accepted. In the dialogue, the student needs to write WH questions. But to make WH question, you need to know how to
Start.
make a yes/no question first. Then you delete the thing you want to ask about and put a question word instead of it at the beginning.
Okay.
We go to WH questions.
WH question need more information in the answer, and so it's not yes or no. We need a sentence. It uses a question word like what, where, when, etc. What is your job? I'm a university. Sorry, there is a missing A. I'm a university professor.
Yes.
What are you doing at the weekend? I'm going
So
out.
in the exam, he may receive a dialogue. In the dialogue, I am a university professor. The student can do two steps if he is not very good, if he is good. If he is good, he can say, are you a university professor, or is your job a university professor? Then we omit a university professor and say, what is your job?
Add the auxiliary word, the question word.
Yeah.
What are you doing at the weekend? I'm going out with my parents. What time do you have to be there? I have to be there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So when we have a question word, we need a full answer or more information in the answer.
Yes.
Sorry, we have questions. First of all, Omar is asking if he can create a subject. Of course you can, as long
He
as
means
it's
paragraph.
correct. Sorry?
He means the paragraph.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course you can. So they call it subject. It's a composition or a paragraph. Of course you can, as long as it's correct.
Yes. But it's better.
It's better even.
If you write it from your own part, it's better, because what we receive is a same copy by hundreds of students, which is not the aim. The aim is to know how to write, not to memorize by heart. So you are good, very good, Omar.
About the vocabulary that is mentioned, usually mentioned before or after the text, sometimes, in the exam we have definitions about words from the text. He's asking if they are all from the book or outside the book. Sometimes they are from the book. I think they
Which
are
one? I didn't follow you.
definitions. When we have the text in the exam text, they have
Yes,
definitions
yes.
with.
But all the vocabulary words
Familiar.
are from the book.
Yes.
All the vocabulary words are from the book, but
Not
maybe
the
he wants to
exact.
know. We have some parts in the book talking about some vocabulary words and their definitions, but not necessarily to be asked just from this part. But the vocabulary words you are going to be asked about in the exam are from the book, not from outside the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, the same question repeated. Yes, you
From
can write from your own mind. You don't have to memorize as long as it's a good
It's better.
writing.
Not only you don't have, it's better not to
Of course.
memorize. It's better to be a good student and to write by yourself. We are
Good
so
for
happy
you.
to see
Good for you,
someone-
Omar. He's good at writing. Good for you. This
we
is
are
very
so happy to see someone like you.
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
Okay, let's move to question words.
Thank you, Ms. Sana.
Okay, who for people, for example, who is that?
The question words are used. We use who for people.
Yeah, who is that? The answer is someone, the name of someone. What for things? What did you do last night? Which asking for a limited number of items. Which do you prefer, chicken or rice?
Sometimes you can give a choice. I
Yeah.
think which one you want. Yeah.
We can give or not. Who's asking for position?
Position.
Position, yes. Whose book is this? When asking for time? When did you wake up? Where asking for the place? Where do you live? Why asking for a reason? Why did you call me? How asking for the manner? How do you turn on this computer, or how do you go to school?
Or how do you come to school? Yes.
Yeah. How long, asking for a period of time. How long have you lived in this city? How many, asking for an exact amount. How many children have you got? How much, asking for not an exact amount. How much does this car
Actually,
cost?
to make it easier, how many for countable nouns, quantity of countable nouns?
Yeah.
How much a quantity for
It's easier.
uncountable noun?
Yeah. How often, asking for a frequency. How often do you go shopping?
Yes. Next slide, Ms. Rawa, please. Miss Maha.
Yes, no questions, and they are made in two different ways in English grammar, depending on the verb. First, we change the position or invert the verb and the subject.
Before you continue, I just want to tell the students, we are explaining yes, no questions, but in the exam, this is to help you how to go to WH questions.
Let's call it a first step.
Yeah, the first step of making a question is to make a yes, no question, then you delete the thing you want to ask about and you put a question word at the beginning of the question. But in the exam, you need to write in the dialogue question, WH word questions.
Yes. We have a question. Are you married? No, I'm not married.
Next slide, yes. We add an extra word like
Yes,
do, does,
does
when
or
we don't
did.
have it in the
Yes.
simple present and the simple past.
Yes. What's your name? My name is Tony. Where did you live? I lived in Canada.
Now, we move to WH questions with Ms. Ula.
Okay, WH questions. Now here we've got the yes/no question. We just get the, for example here, just put the question word in front of yes or no question. We've got are they getting married next month? We omit next month and write when, because this is
Because it's
asked
time.
by its time. When are they getting married?
Yes, exactly. This is the way they need to do in the exam. Now we have an
Examples.
exam sample. In the
Okay.
exam, you will have this way answers, and you are going to make the questions for them.
Okay, the first sentence, let me
Ms.
read.
Sana?
Okay. The family was standing
We have
by...
extra Y here.
Yes.
The
Yes.
family was
The family was
by-
standing by the side of the road. By the side of the road, it's a place, so we use the WH question, where. And the sentence is in the past continuous, so we just...
The auxiliary
Okay.
verb is
Yes.
already in the sentence,
we
so we
reorder
just
the sentence.
invert.
Okay. Where was the family standing? It's the answer. Number 2. She has been working since 8 o'clock this morning. This sentence is in the present perfect continuous. Okay? And here we have 8 o'clock, since 8 o'clock. So it's a duration of time, so we use how long. How long has she been working?
Yes.
Number 3, okay, Number
left the
3,
camp
they
to
left the
climb.
camp to climb to the summit on May 18th. The answer is, when did they leave the camp to
We
the
have
summit?
exact time, so it's simple past. And so left is in the simple past.
Simple past.
We use
When did they leave?
Did
Yeah.
they leave the camp to climb to the summit on May 28th? We delete on May 28th and we put when at the beginning of the question. Can we see the answers in the next slide, Mr. Rawa? Here are the questions made. Where was the family standing? How long has she been working? And when did they leave to the camp?
The camp
The
to
camp
the summit.
leave the camp to the summit.
I
Yes.
get 10 marks.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
good
got
for you. Now, Muhammad again is asking about the scale. Don't worry about the scale. Just write the correct answers and leave it to the teachers now.
Now we are going to go on a break for
No,
some
no, we
minutes.
don't. We only have 2 papers. The exam paper
Done.
to show.
Just to
it's for
explain the
them.
forum or the
The
structure.
samples.
You don't want a break?
No,
No, we only
No
have
need.
2 papers.
No need.
It won't
Okay,
take
we
lots of
continue.
time.
just we want to.
We continue. We are going just to have a look.
Unless we're going to answer the questions of the...
No, we are going to explain to them how to do
Omar, you can ask any question you like.
But he wants to say
Mr.
them.
Rawat, can we make
utterly.
it bigger? I can't
You can
read.
ask.
Can we make it bigger? Not that much. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So in the exam, they are going to see like this sample. The first page, they have 2 texts. The first text usually comes from the student's or activity book. The second text comes from the supplementary book. Before the student does the exam questions,
He should read the question.
before he reads the
below.
text, he needs to read the question so that he knows or she knows what they are going to answer. Ms. Saula, what are your advice?
Sorry, Mr.
What
Majid,
is
can
your
we
advice?
advise the student how to access into the platform, how to they can, because this one, Omar, I think he has plenty of questions about sentences like this one. The sky, which always be blue, was gray that morning. This one about
Yes.
past perfect had always been. But I mean, if they have
Yes, they
more
can
questions.
put their questions on the platform and we are going to answer them. You can make access to the platform site and leave a question. We have a button, leave a question. You can put your question there and you will be answered.
Okay, so the first text is to read the text, then do the task below. Here we have multiple choice. We have answering the question. We have 3 questions for the scientific part, and I think more for the literary
Yes.
section.
Yes.
So here we have questions to answer from the text. You have to read the questions first carefully and make sure you understand. Then you can read the text and find the answers. After that, we have definitions, and you have to look for the words in the text again. And the third type of questions is to correct. But here you have to pay attention to rewrite the whole sentence. Don't just write the correction or don't just correct the mistake. You have to rewrite the sentences, correcting the mistakes.
Yes, correcting not only the mistake, you need to rewrite a full sentence with the correction. The second text is from the scientific book. I'm going to talk about the first part, a text, 3 questions about the text. The student needs to write the answers. If the student writes more than the needed answer, one sentence is okay. More than 1 sentence extra is going to be rated as 0. So be specific, write only the answer. If you add a sentence, it's no problem. It's better not to add, but more than 1 sentence, the answer rates 0. Then we have to find meanings, to find words which mean 4 and 6.
4 and
Can we
5.
go down a little, Mr. Rawa? A little, yes. For the literary section, we have 3 words. The scientific section, we have 2 words.
And they can be from the given.
Only the wanted words are accepted. You cannot put meaning from your brain, from your mind. You need
From
to
the
find
text.
the word in the text. easily feeling gloomy for no good reason. We have the word
Moody.
moody in the text, so you cannot write any other word. And the following question
on.
is to rewrite. As we said, we need to write the whole sentence correctly, not only the correction. Now we move to the second part.
Before, please, we have again question, because their questions are important for us. Not.
Yes.
He's asking if making question can be from the passive voice. Of course, it can. You just need to invert because it's auxiliary verb to be.
The same.
It's the same. It's not difficult. You just need to invert because it's subject and verb to be. You just need to invert with the passive voice. So it's okay to have the passive voice as a question, as a making question.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Yes, there's another question. Particular parts of an area, if we took the meaning from the text, why is it sectors, not zones?
This is a confusing question, actually, not for us, but you can use whatever you like when you are putting the text.
Yes.
When you put a text, you are not asked why did you write, for example, happy. You didn't write excited, for example. We know that there is some difference between the meanings in this word and the other, but it's no problem. We don't need to write sectors, not zones, because every word has a function. And in the end, since the receiver understands you, it's no problem whatever vocabulary you use. Okay. The second part of the first page, we lost
Scientific.
it. It's no problem.
Scientific text.
From the scientific.
We've got the multiple choice
The
questions.
difference between the questions in the scientific part, we have multiple choice questions. The student.
And again, we have definitions, but this time they are underlined words.
Yes. They are
Yes,
So they
now
can-
the words are underlined. It's no problem, Mr. I'll leave it, but just enlarge it, make it bigger.
And the last one is to complete from the text.
Yes.
Okay, so they have to find
So
like
it's
a
not
clues
correction,
of
it's
not
not
correction,
it's to complete from the text.
and they have to understand that this is comprehension, reading comprehension. So don't try to look at the exact words. Just understand the meaning and try to continue
Yeah.
from the text again.
The second page, it's usually it starts usually with the missing words, and as we said, the missing words are functional. They can be articles, prepositions, pronouns, auxiliary verbs. We answered someone who asked about how to study. We told them when you read the texts, try to hide the articles, the prepositions while
functional
reading,
words.
so that when you meet them in the exam, they pop up to you.
Some
very
students
easily.
make mistakes by writing sentences that are not functional. You cannot write in the missing words that are not functional.
We
So
mean by
table
not
or
functional
teacher.
Like
verbs
nouns
or
and
nouns,
adjectives,
yes.
yeah.
The second question, usually, exercise.
From the story.
The
Filling.
question number 4 is from the stories, from the scientific book. It's usually from the scientific book. And here it is, if you know the meaning of the words, you can fill them very easily because it is very clear from the meaning. Mary, if we do this, Mary's mother died when her
Youngest
we
daughter.
can put every word in the space to check. Her lessons daughter, no. Successful daughter, maybe. Youngest daughter, maybe. Nothing is not accepted. New is not accepted. But later on, we will find another missing word which cannot take youngest. We need to use successful at that place. So this way we make sure that it is youngest daughter was, only 10. From then on, Mary, that she would have to work hard. The only word here accepted is a new. Knew that she would have to work hard at her lessons. If she wanted to be, here we
Successful.
cannot put youngest, it should be successful in her life. We can go down now, Mr. Rawa, please. We have now the dialogue.
Dialogue. Again,
When we
Sorry.
explained the making question
Omar
part.
asked the other question about the missing words. Is it able to have it written with the skill of reading and from the reading text?
the way Mr. Majid has just
Yes.
said,
Yeah, I just explained.
by
yes.
reading the text, you can know the
Yes.
missing words.
Hide the functional words, hide the prepositions, the pronouns, the articles, the auxiliary verbs, and see if you can remember them. In the exam, you are going to do it the same way. Now,
They're asking
dialogue-
again, they're worried about missing words. Don't be. For pieces
want
of
some
advice,
advice.
well, you have to look at the surrounded words like before or after. For example, let's say if you have after the space, we have ing, you have to think about is are, for example.
Actually, my
Study the
advice,
structure of the sentence.
Structure, exactly, from the structure.
the answer to the missing words part has two ways. Either the student is good enough to know it from the structure, or if he is not good enough,
Look for
when he
clues.
is studying, when he is reading the texts, as I said, hide the prepositions. Put your finger on the preposition and read the sentence without the preposition. Then take up your finger to see it again. In the exam, when you see it missing, you will remember.
Recognize.
It will pop up to your mind immediately. So when you are studying the text, I said, think about translation. It is in English. Translate it into Arabic in your mind. When you see it in the exam, you can remember the text because it's going to be from the text. So here, again, about the dialogue, you have the answers and you need to write the questions. Go down, Mr. Rawa, please, to see you write the following sentences.
And they have to pay attention that it's a dialogue, so you need to read it as a whole, not as separate sentences.
Yes. Rewrite is a very important part for the students. We explained to you the causative verb. We explained the passive voice. We explained the reporting
And
speech
wish.
and question, the reported speech and questions. Then we explained
Wish sentences.
So this part needs you to know.
And we've given
about
examples.
them. Yeah, we have given them examples. Second part, the first question and the second part, question
Completion.
number 7, completion. The completion, my advice, sorry, I'm wrapping up maybe. If anyone wants to talk about the completion, it's okay.
We are listening.
The advice to the student is if the sentence is in the present, complete it in the present or future. If it is in the past, complete it in the past, or else you may lose marks. The following exercise 8.
I just want to add that this is a clause. It's for another time. So you need to write a subject and a
Thank
verb.
you
If
so
one
much.
word is missing, you will lose all of your mark.
So you need to write a subject and a verb clearly in the completion.
And meaningful.
Then the
Between brackets, they
choice
have to
part,
choose.
you have
Like
two
the
words.
vocabulary
Phrasal
we've said,
verbs.
phrasal verbs, idioms. Vocabulary, we've had examples.
Many recycling or recycle factories, as we mentioned while we were
This is a noun.
explaining. We have factories, a noun. We need an adjective.
Adjective,
The adjective
recycling.
is recycling, yes. Then we have decision.
Decision
and we mentioned
made.
it while we were explaining. That decision
Is
comes from the mind, and the mind uses make. This is in the past, so it is made. 33. Can't be
this
and
man-
must be, we explain them. When
Because
we
he's
are
got
sure,
3 villas, so for
since
sure.
he has 3 villas, so
He
we
mu- he
are
must
sure
be
that
very
he
rich.
must be rich.
Very rich, actually, not only
Yes,
rich.
then we come to the tenses exercise.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, but because we're talking about sentence, we can have a fast explanation for the
Omar,
past
yes.
perfect, because again, Omar, he may not have been following us. Past perfect, it means we have 2 actions in the past. One of them happened before the other. The one happened first, this is past perfect. So you have to have indicators like simple past or by with a year, like by 1999, it's followed by past perfect. Or when I saw him, he had left.
By the time,
When I,
before, after, when.
with a time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. For the tenses, exercise 9, the student needs to know the tense to choose from the context. My father
The first one is past perfect, actually.
retired after he. Retired after he. Actually, this sentence can be completed with the past perfect and the simple past. But if he does it in the past perfect, he shows the corrector that he knows that something happened first and it is in the past perfect. But when we have after and before, it's clear so we can use the past simple in both parts. Hassan writes an essay all morning.
All morning,
Has
present
been
perfect
writing.
continuous.
Yeah.
Indicates
We
the
have
continuous.
results in the present for something happened in the past. He is very tired
Yeah.
now because he's been doing something for a long time. He's been writing an essay all morning.
Yeah, we move to when Sami graduates. When we had this exam,
When? For future.
a lot of people were confused. They thought that this is a conditional sentence, so we can use the zero form. Zero form of conditional, I mean by zero form, we can say when Sami
Present
graduates,
simple.
he travels. It was not accepted in the simple present because zero form usually talks about habits and facts. I mean something that is repeated a lot of times, not just one time.
Okay, graduation happened
What?
just one time.
Graduation happens usually from the same level one time. From high school, you graduate one time.
Sure.
From university, you graduate one time. Someone dies one time. We cannot say when her husband dies, she feels sad. He doesn't die many times. So we
Yeah.
cannot use zero
It's not
form
repeated.
with verbs that happen only one time. Graduation is one thing from this group. So in this year, travels was not accepted. This
Will
should
travel.
have been
Well-
done. Will travel.
travel, future.
Will travel to London. We go to the translation.
Sorry, there's a
Translation.
question from Muhammad. The understanding of second test is considered first at the translation. I didn't actually get what does he mean, but I think that he means that does it depend on translation, the second tense text? I think that you have to understand everything.
I
So
think
you
they mix
can-
up between translation and
And,
comprehension reading.
yes.
You have to understand what you're reading. It doesn't have to be like translating into Arabic. Just you need to understand.
Yes, it is comprehension. It means you understand the meaning in your mind in English, and you do it in English. For the translation, I want to say to the students that the translation part is usually
Scientific or
considered
literary.
in 2 parts or 3 parts according to the length of the sentence. So write what you know, even if it's not a full sentence, because you are going to take marks for what you write. If you write the meaning, since it's translation, it's meaning. So write the meanings you know,
Vocabulary.
even if the student is weak and cannot write a very precise grammatical sentence. If you don't write because you don't know how to write a full sentence, but you know the meaning of some words, you will lose the marks. Write the words you know the meaning of them, and you are going to receive marks. And in the correcting, you are going to be judged into parts. So every part is going to be judged separately. Even if you don't know the whole sentence, write what you know, and you will get marks. From Arabic into English usually comes from the student and
And
activity
it's
book.
usually simple structure with some difficult words.
English into Arabic usually comes from the scientific book, then the composition.
Omar, I advise you to access the platform website and ask your questions.
He has a question.
Very
How
Or
long
are
one.
write the page of
penguins
the
different
number
from
of the
many
page
other
in the
animals?
book. We have
Is
the books
answer
here.
some animals migrate between 2 habitats or different times of the year? Sorry, can't bring the paragraph or the book here. Okay, as Ms. Ola said, we have a space on the platform site for students' questions. You just write SEP, www.sep. And you will find the site of the platform. Go to the put your question button, and you can write whatever you want to ask
At any
about,
time.
and you will be received. You will be answered. You will receive the answer. The composition, you are going to be judged according to categories.
5 categories, actually.
Text, task response,
Punctuation,
punctuation
Spelling.
and spelling,
Grammar.
grammar,
vocabulary.
vocabulary, and communication. So if your composition is correct, it is what is asked about, you will receive 10
Task
marks
response.
for scientific section, 13 for literary section, before it is corrected. Then the use of punctuation. If you use a full stop, you start with a capital letter, you use a comma, you take marks
Don't
for this.
overuse punctuation.
Yes, don't miss the use of punctuation. The vocabulary. Do the student use correct vocabulary? We mean by this, you don't say, I use a bicycle to write. I use a bicycle to write. This is a mistake done for vocabulary. But if the student writes, I use a pen to write, he receives the marks for vocabulary section. Then we come to grammar and spelling. Spelling is with the punctuation for the baccalaureate. The first two mistakes for grammar and the first mistake for spelling are overlooked. But after that, they will deduct 1 mark for each grammar or spelling mistake. But even if the mistakes were more than 10, the student is not going to lose more than the 10 marks for the scientific or the 13 marks for the literary, the marks allotted for this category. So the student should be relaxed and he needs to be comfortable. He's going to receive marks, whatever he likes. Don't be afraid and be comfortable, be relaxed. It's better, as one asked, to write from your own way composition. Those who memorize, they are going to receive marks as well if their composition is correct. At the end of this session, what advice can you give to the students before we end up?
Okay, because we don't have the whole time, we only have a few days. Like you have said, Mr. Majid, now they need to concentrate on the text, whether in the scientific section or the 2 other books, activity book, students book, because through the text they can know how to translate, they can use the missing words, they know the text part, and they know how to form the question, and then they can practice the rewrite part like wish, causative verb, passive voice, and reported speech. After that, I think you'll be prepared. Just relax. Everything is going to be all right. It's not about these 3 days. You will remember things from the whole year. So relax and sleep well before the exam.
Thank you. Miss Sana.
Okay. My advice to students is not to be afraid. Sleep well, as Ms. Ola say. Eat well, okay, and take a rest.
Thank you. Miss Maha.
Before I say about the exam, Omar also wants to share or to see the link on the screen.
SEP dot, and is going to .sy or .com.
I'll put it as a comment on the
it's
YouTube.
.sy, I'm not sure, but you can. When you start by writing www.sep.sy, the Google is going to give you the exact site.
Or Google it.
Yeah, Google it. You can write in Arabic.
Yes.
And you will see it.
So manage your time, divide your work through the days, feel comfortable, and try to concentrate when you read. When you have difficulty answering a question, leave it. Go to the next questions, then you can go back to the question that you couldn't answer.
Thank you. So do not read all the questions before you do the first one.
Yes.
Do questions one by one. When you don't know the question, move to the following one, not read the whole exam paper. So do the questions one by one so that when you finish, you come back to the question you didn't do. At the end of this session, I want to thank my colleagues in the studio, Ms. Ola Al-Mu'i, English Language Supervisor.
Thank you so much, and good luck for the students.
Thank you so much. Ms. Sana Ismail, English Language Teacher.
Thank you.
Damascus Director, thank you. Ms. Maha Al-Jarkas, English Language Teacher. Damascus Director, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I want to thank the directors in the platform, Ms. Hiba Eid, who left us, and Mr. Waid, who joined us later. I want to thank Mr. Mahmoud Hamid, who doesn't save an effort to work hard for the platform, the director of the platform, Mr. Mahmoud Hamid. And I want to thank the one who was behind establishing the platform, Dr. Darren Tabba, and our brave minister, Mr. Imad Al-Azab. Thank you so much for being with us. This is Abdul Majid Ogorli, Senior Supervisor, and coordinator of the English curriculum, we wish you